Welcome to Wawas on Wire. Today we're talking about Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia's Ampang division's call for party president Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin to step down immediately.
Yeah, it's quite the public escalation, isn't it? Definitely not subtle.
Not subtle at all.
I mean, when a major division, especially one of the history of, let's say, friction, openly demands the president resigns, and they use that phrase, honorable exit, it tells you things are serious.
Right.
It signals that whatever was simmering beneath the surface in Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, well, it's basically boiled over now. It's out in the open.
Exactly. Open warfare. That feels like the right description. This isn't just backroom politics anymore, is it?
No. It's a public declaration, essentially, a vote of no confidence right out there for everyone to see, forcing the issue nationally.
So our aim today, really, is to try and understand the specific reasons the Ampang division actually gave for this. And maybe more importantly, what does this kind of public infighting mean for the party? You know, their stability, their chances in the next general election.
It's crucial because the reasons they listed, they're all internal organizational things. That often tells you more about what's really going on, doesn't it?
Definitely.
So let's look at the demand itself. Dean Mohammed, the secretary of the Ampang division, put out the official statement. And they seem to have two main goals behind asking for the resignation.
Okay, and what strikes me is that these objectives, they don't really touch on policy, do they? The first one is about healing, almost.
Yeah.
Restoring unity inside the party, and maybe crucially restoring members' confidence.
Exactly. They're saying point blank that confidence has collapsed under the current leadership.
Wow.
They're basically implying the president himself has become an obstacle to internal morale. And the second objective, pure pragmatism, survival,
Right.
making sure the party stays solid, stable, competitive enough, to actually have a shot in future elections. It feels like they think the current setup is making them less competitive.
So the leadership itself becomes a liability, an electoral liability.
Precisely. That's the message coming from the grassroots, apparently.
And they're not just complaining, they actually propose a solution. This orderly and inclusive leadership transition plan, that word orderly, and the urgency, the immediate resignation, it really suggests they're looking at the clock, maybe panicking a little. Why now? Why risk this public split right now?
Well, internal chaos, it just grinds a party down, doesn't it? Especially one that relies on its divisions, its local structure. Unity is, well, it's everything for operation. When you have this kind of public fight, it just sucks up energy, resources, and the enthusiasm of the people on the ground, the volunteers.
The ones knocking on doors.
Exactly. If this leadership mess continues, they risk just fading away before the election even starts because of apathy, because the organization just seizes up at the local level.
And it's significant that this wasn't just one or two people, right? The statement makes it clear the Ampang Division Committee decided this unanimously.
Unanimously, yeah.
And they add that it reflects what the grassroots members expect. The people they represent are, quote, desperate for change to continue the party's struggle. That points to a real disconnect, doesn't it, between the central leadership and the base?
It really does. It suggests a serious breakdown in trust and communication. It's fascinating. The division leaders are positioning themselves as speaking for the party's survival.
Like they have to force the change.
Right, to protect the party's future. So it shifts from we disagree with the president to the president can't manage the internal stuff needed to win.
Okay, so let's focus on the failure of internal management. If the grassroots are desperate, who exactly is causing the friction? The statement names names, doesn't it?
It does, and that brings up a key question. Who are the sort of lightning rods here? The statement specifically calls out two very senior figures, Secretary General Datuk Seri Azmin and Information Chief Datuk Tun Faisal.
Two heavyweights.
Absolutely. And the core accusation is that the conflict revolves around the relationship, apparently quite strained, between these two leaders and various division heads across the country.
And this is where it loops back directly to Muhyiddin, the party president. The complaint isn't just that Azmin and Tun Faisal are difficult. I mean, that happens in parties.
Sure.
But the failure, according to Ampang, is the president's inability to manage them, to control them, maybe.
That's the heart of the accusation, isn't it? A failure of management right at the top. They call it his misstep in handling or advising these two to basically get along better with the divisions. And they say this misstep is the root cause of the split, describing it as growing and damaging.
Growing and damaging.
It really highlights that for division leaders, how they're treated internally, that communication, that respect, sometimes it matters more than big national policy wins. If they feel sidelined by the Secretary General or the Information Chief, they just won't work as hard.
So the president not being able to fix that relationship, It's seen as a critical failure of operations.
Catastrophic, even, from their perspective.
That is quite an indictment. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How much does a leader's skill at managing internal politics, these big personalities, how much does that really count compared to their public image or national policies? Is failing to manage two key people really enough to justify this kind of public call for removal?
You know, for a Malaysian political party, especially one structured like Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, relying so heavily on the grassroots and the division chiefs, I'd say yes, absolutely it does matter.
Because they're the engine.
They are the campaign engine. If they feel ignored, or if they're constantly battling the central office through the Secretary General who runs the structure and the information chief who shapes the message, well, what happens?
Apathy, or worse.
Exactly. Apathy, maybe even sabotage, or what we're seeing now, open revolt. If the leader can't bridge that gap between the center and the ground, the whole party structure starts to crack. The system expects the president to be the unifier, and they're saying he hasn't done that job.
And like you said, this wasn't sudden. This didn't come from nowhere. We need to link this latest event to things that happened earlier, right? Which showed these cracks were already there.
Context is definitely key here. We know Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia expelled 5 division chiefs earlier this year. That was a big move.
Right, I remember that.
And here's the crucial link. One of those chiefs who got expelled, Muhammad Isa, the former chief of it, wait for it, the Ampang division.
Okay, so the very division now calling for Muhyiddin's removal is the successor committee to the leader who was purged earlier.
Precisely. That changes the dynamic completely, doesn't it?
It raises the stakes massively. It shows this isn't just a sudden flare-up. It's organized opposition within the party. They lost their chief, they regrouped, and now they've escalated.
Exactly. And why were those chiefs expelled in the first place? It wasn't just minor disagreement. It was linked to a statutory declaration, an SD.
Okay, explain the SD context here.
Well, in Malaysian politics, an SD is a formal, sworn statement, often used behind the scenes to show you have majority support, or, in this case it seems, to show the leader lacks critical support.
So the SD was aimed at removing Muhyiddin back then.
That's what was reported, yes, aimed at pushing for his removal as party president. So this current call for resignation, it looks like a continuation, a sustained effort by parts of the party structure who feel pushed out or ignored. Public confrontation seems like their next move.
It's like a cycle of internal conflict. So if we try and zoom out for a second, what's the big picture here, the most damaging thing?
I think it's that this conflict is clearly about more than just Muhyiddin's public role. It's revealed a deep rift, almost a civil war, between the central leadership figures, Azman, Tun Faisal, and the division leaders who run the ground game.
And the grassroots, or at least the Ampang division speaking for them, believe the whole system is now broken because of it.
They're saying, quite clearly, that unless the president can fix this internal divide, the party is heading for electoral defeat, purely because the organization itself is failing.
Yeah.
When a major party starts airing its dirty laundry this publicly, it's usually a sign that organizational health is in serious decline. This demand feels like a desperate plea for survival.
It really feels like the highest stakes internal battle we've seen in Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia for a while. But here's a final thought, something maybe for you, the listener, to consider. Ampang demands this orderly and inclusive leadership transition plan. Okay, fine. But if Muhyiddin does step down now, who steps up?
Right. Who in the party actually has enough support across all these factions to implement that transition smoothly?
It's often easier to call for someone to go than to agree on who comes next, isn't it? Especially when things are this fractured.
Absolutely. The solution they're demanding the transition, it could easily create a whole new power vacuum, maybe even worsening the infighting they want to stop. That transition itself could be the next big fight.
A really crucial point. We'll have to watch that space closely.
Indeed.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.